well, it feels like I've got enough out of the container, so I'm gonna put the lid back on. So, this is interesting because I had to go by feel for how much was on there beside, not sight. Now, they say that salads are one of the more difficult things to eat, and I can imagine why, because I have no idea how big this piece is. Okay. Oh, it's pretty big.
People
Thank
who are
you.
visually impaired will take a sighted, will be with a sighted friend and they ask for help.
Okay.
Or something like that. But, you can imagine how being in public is a little embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah.
Ask somebody to cut up your salad for you.
Well, it's a little bit like feeling like you're helpless, you know, and
They were, when I told them here what we were doing, the one blind woman in particular was commiserating with salads. She said, every restaurant handles salads differently and you just never know what you're gonna get.
yeah, right, I can imagine.
And so in fact, sometimes they just decide to get the simple thing on the menu.
Yeah.
The thing that they know.
Of course, I'm sure it helps that I know what my fork looks like and what my salad looks like.
Exactly. And you have visual
Mhm.
concepts about those things, which someone with congenital blindness doesn't have.
Right.
And a lot of people with congenital visual issues have sensory issues to go along with those. And it's not always clear why, but it could simply be that since they didn't develop those visual concepts early about food and eating and seeing other people eat, that they just kind of miss the window of opportunity to develop tolerances for different textures and things in their mouth.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I see a lot of visually impaired adults ordering grilled cheese. Because part of what you experienced, what I did, was I was afraid to reach up to the table because I knew there were glasses and things around.
Yeah.
You didn't know where everything was, you didn't want to knock things down.
True. That's true. I guess maybe the thing to do would be to go kind of with the flat palm of your hand, feeling where things are.
You get oriented first, right?
Yeah.
And if you have a sighted companion, they can tell you, your water glasses, a couple more inches ahead and to your right. You know what I mean? They can tell you.
Yes, right. And everything. But maybe it'd be worse with money.
It is worse with money because, you can tell, you can learn to tell coins apart, but dollar bills
Right, you can.
are very difficult. And there's an element of trust. And what most blind people and low vision people will do is they'll have a sighted friend help them fold their money in distinctive patterns. So the $1 bills are open, the $5 bills are folded in half, the 10s are folded twice, so they have patterns. And so they can identify money when they're paying out, but when someone hands them paper money, they have no way. There's been talk of embedding something in the bills itself so that visually impaired people can feel it. I think some countries actually do have Braille on their paper money, but the United States doesn't right now.
Right. Yeah. Well, that'd be hard for technology to deal with that.
Well, there are apps now. You can take a picture with your phone and it'll tell you what it is.
Oh, wow.
It's 5. It's 1. So they can detect color, they can detect text, stuff like that. So there are apps that will help. I mean, imagine 5 years ago, there wasn't much, but there's a lot more now.
Yeah. Well, I can see how technology has helped things a lot. And I was wondering about the computer. So a screen reader just says things out loud, whatever, it reads the text and reads it out loud. That's wonderful.
I understand it's very difficult for adults to learn to read it by touch.
Really?
Because your fingertips have to be very, very sensitive, and so after a lifetime of living, your fingertips oftentimes are not. And if you have a condition like diabetes that led to your blindness, a lot of times your fingertips have lost a lot of sensitivity also.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of the diabetes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting.
Nerve damage.
Okay. Mm.
And so Jenny's teaching a class right now about auditory comprehension
Mm-hmm.
for people who've lost their vision and need to be able to understand if, information that they hear because they can't read it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, it's a good skill to have.
Website. So if you don't have an audible reader on your computer,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe there are some things about technology that is making it a
They're
little.
cutting you off, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So.
that's one of the things that programs like Savvy are doing is trying to eliminate that barrier for people who are intimidated by the technology or don't have the equipment. If it's related to work, vocational rehabilitation in the state will provide technology.
Mm.
So it's going to enable you to return to the work world,
Mm-hmm.
But more and more technology includes voiceover,
Mm.
and that it's not always great, but it's amazing how many things, we can find out more about iPads and apps on phones and stuff. Some are good and some are totally useless if you're visually impaired.
Mm.
Some are totally visually based.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.